All right, guys, welcome back here to the channel. There's been a lot said about this Vanguard against Bitcoin drama. Wanted to talk about it in this video a little bit, break it down because the BTC community is striking back and I think they're having a major impact. A lot of people calling to basically boycott Vanguard, and we're actually getting some information coming in that basically people are going ahead and pulling their money out of Vanguard, which is pretty insane. Now, I want to start over here and talk a little bit about what happened recently. This interview was yesterday. CEO of Vanguard calls Bitcoin a stable asset like gold and confirms that Vanguard does not steer clients toward stable assets, implying preference for unstable assets instead. Kind of a crazy thing to say, right? When you consider that Vanguard should not be in the business of just risky assets, and Bitcoin, by many people's account, is a risky asset, but and not a stable asset. But okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and listen inside this before we come back and break this thing down a little bit further.
We won't be pursuing a Bitcoin ETF. Just like we don't use gold as an asset class for our clients. So it's not that people can't invest in there. We just look at asset classes for, what belongs in a long-term portfolio, what has intrinsic value, has cash flows to it. And those are the asset classes we steer people towards. And so we don't go towards Bitcoin or gold or any other of those stable assets.
Stable assets, which I mean actually could be a bullish thing, right? If you're considering Bitcoin is I don't think as stable as it can be, at least right now. But what's funny about this, and we're going to dive into this from a couple different perspectives here, get your guys' opinions on this as well as we roll through. So make sure you guys drop your thoughts and comments on here. But as we think about this, it's interesting because is this Vanguard basically saying, hey, we want to be the different player here, the player that, hey, we're going to be the place where if you don't like Bitcoin or you don't think Bitcoin should have got approved with their spot Bitcoin ETFs, you're going to come here and put your money with Vanguard? Well, if that's what they thought would happen, it's not what's happening right now. They are actually hurting themselves. And Kyle Chase, I think it's Chase, had a few things that he said here over the weekend, but he basically said this about Vanguard's stance against Bitcoin seems super hypocritical because they're the second largest shareholders of MSTR shares. That is MicroStrategy. So they literally hold a ton of MicroStrategy, which obviously invests heavily into Bitcoin. So very hypocritical here. Like this right here tells me that there's something else going on, right? Somebody else had it out for somebody else. And I don't know what's being done here or what's really happening behind the scenes, but it seems like Vanguard, I don't think they necessarily think Bitcoin is a bad asset, but they've got a vendetta against Bitcoin or a reason to have a vendetta against someone close in the Bitcoin community. It could be something like that. Now, this as well, rumors are starting to whirl here this afternoon that Vanguard Group, they're already reconsidering their anti-Bitcoin stance after a mass exodus from their products last week. So if that doesn't tell you anything, that is huge. And it says the power of X is a thing and the power of Bitcoin in the community is a thing. But Vanguard could maybe shift their opinions here and eventually go ahead and adopt Bitcoin. But so far, nothing has been said about it here on their social media platform. They are the one investment group where, they've taken this stance and this mission against Bitcoin. It says they stand for all investors, but obviously, not Bitcoin enthusiasts. Now, speaking of the price of Bitcoin and where crypto is today, before we close out the video, guys, we are still right behind 43,000 right now, 42,900. Volume has remained relatively steady here in the last 24 hours. We have a slight increase here in the last 24 as well. Pretty flat, though, across the board. A couple altcoins moving up. We've got Siacoin, Toncoin, and Arweave. Some of the top gainers there. Tezos and Chainlink also up there, along with Solana, Injective, Caspa actually making a little bit of a push upwards here today as well, along with ICP and XRP. to round things out. So that's what we've got for you guys. One good thing here, fear and greed index continues to go down. We're getting back into that neutral zone, which could stir up another bull run relatively soon. That is really good considering we were well overbought there for a while. Things have dialed back a little bit since the frenzy that we saw with the Bitcoin ETF news and all of that pent-up demand. And now we're dialing back a little bit, but we haven't dialed back a ton, right? So the chances for us to kind of reignite a big surge here still exists. And there we go. So BlackRock continues to also acquire a ton of Bitcoin already, just days into their big move with their iShares Bitcoin ETF. We've been highlighting that as well. So make sure you guys stick around here on the channel by hitting that subscribe button down below. Also clicking the like button here on this one. Appreciate you guys as always for checking back in. But we'll keep an eye on this story. We'll see if Vanguard eventually does reverse field here and maybe flip the script and come back around after the Bitcoin community is striking hard against Vanguard. People are pulling their money out left and right now, and maybe that'll force Vanguard's hand to actually go all in and adopt crypto. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think about all this down below. See you in the next one. Take care.